As discussed in the overview of the Time War, the Doctor would be fated to ultimately burn every man, woman, and child on Gallifrey. They would burn for eternity, as would the Dalek Empire. This would be very ironic, as before this point there was a time that the Doctor would hold the fate of the Daleks in his hands. He had been sent to destroy them by the Time Lords. He could have saved millions, possibly tens of millions. Every man, woman, and child that burned on Gallifrey wouldn't have had to. But at the last moment, he faltered, decided not to kill them. This ultimately would start the Great Time War with the Daleks, which resulted in the burning of Gallifrey altogether. So let's go ahead and discuss Genesis of the Daleks. What's up, Lore Masters? Today we'll be discussing what the Daleks would consider the initial hostilities of the Time Lords and the beginning of the Great Time War. So let's just get into it. While attempting to go to Nerva, the Fourth Doctor is intercepted by another Time Lord. He is told that the Time Lords foresee a time where the Daleks will have exterminated all other life in the universe. Initially resistant, the Doctor is ultimately convinced that he must travel to Skaro at the beginning of their genesis and either destroy them, make them less aggressive, or find some weakness. After discussions with the other Time Lord on how he will return back to Nerva, the Doctor and his companions find themselves on Skaro, homeworld of the Daleks. This is, of course, before their initial creation. The Doctor and his companions are caught in the middle of a war between the Thal and the Khalids. Khalids. Why does that sound familiar? Must just be me. The Doctor theorizes that the war had been going on for a very long time. This is in part due to the men having a mixture of high-tech and low-tech weaponry, theorizing that, as resources got scarce, weaponry would become more primitive. The Khalids capture the Doctor and one of his companions, Harry. His other companion, Sarah, is left, presuming to be dead from the attack that had just occurred. Sarah wakes up to find herself alone and unable to follow into the bunker where Harry and the Doctor had been taken. She wanders out into the wastelands of Skaro, where she finds Davros, the creator of the Daleks, testing out his Dalek prototype. After seeing the Daleks' destructive capabilities, Sarah is ultimately captured by mutants on Skaro, known as, well, Mutos. The Mutos ultimately knock her unconscious. They do begin arguing over her fate, whether to kill her or not kill her, when Thal troops intercept them. The troops kill one of the Mutos and take the other and Sarah prisoner. Back with the Doctor and Harry, Davros returns with the primitive Dalek. It detects that Harry and the Doctor are alien and attempts to kill them, only being stopped by one of the scientists named Ronson. This, of course, angers Davros, as he was happy to see that his creation wanted to kill everything not Khalid. After this incident, the Doctor and Harry are put into captivity. While there, Ronson admits that he believes that Davros has moved towards quote-unquote evil endeavors. After the leadership of the Khalids is warned by the Doctor, an attempt to shut down Davros' experiment occurs, though this only results in a Dalek attack upon Thal and the capture of the Doctor and his companion. Sarah has been enslaved in an attempt to build a superweapon, a missile that would destroy the Khalids. She is able to escape and ultimately makes her way back to the Khalids themselves. She and others assist in freeing the Doctor and Harry. Through difficult points and encounters, ultimately the Doctor finds himself with the ability to destroy all of the Daleks. He has placed explosive charges in their incubator room and only has to bring 2 wires together to wipe them out. At this point, the Doctor questions if he has the right to destroy them. He laments that he would be no better than them. He would be committing genocide. He also considers the allies that are brought together due to the fear of the Daleks. He hesitates, and in that hesitation is interrupted when he is told that Davros will agree to negotiations and talks. Ecstatic, he opts not to kill the Daleks, hoping that it can be stopped without bloodshed. Even though the Doctor relents, behind the scenes the Thal resistance, wanting to destroy the Daleks, place similar explosives throughout the bunker. And at this point, this is where the tragedy begins. Though the negotiations with Davros go well, the Daleks turn on him and the rest of the Khaled scientists. The Daleks kill the scientists, leaving Davros as the last of the Khalids alive. He is also seemingly killed by the Daleks, and the Thal resistance sets off the bombs in response, trapping the Daleks in their bunker. The Doctor and his companions are able to escape, and while going back to Nerva, the Doctor is seen smiling. Asked by Sarah why, he states that he believes he has set them back at least 1,000 years, and that there will be good that comes from this point. Unfortunately, his inclusion in these events would ultimately cause the Great Time War, a war that would result in the burning of his planet, for all the good that him sparing the Daleks did the universe. Behind the scenes are kind of interesting. A couple of things you can take a look at. For instance, possibly doing a homage, Davros uses an agony seat to get information from the Doctor and his companions versus the agony booth we see in Star Trek. The working titles of the episode also included Genesis of Terror and Daleks, Genesis of Terror. Interestingly enough, the freeze frame cliffhanger at the end of Part 2 represents the series' first use of this technique, which would become a staple used multiple times during the old series. Another interesting piece is the opening scene was rewritten by David Maloney. Terry Nation felt the rewritten scene was too violent for young children. Mary Whitehouse concurred after the story's first broadcast. Genesis of the Daleks is the most repeated Doctor Who story on BBC's television's analog services. Another interesting fact includes that some discussions are argued that the Doctor was more successful in his mission than he realized. In addition to entombing the Daleks for what he believed to be 1,000 years, his intervention may have contributed to Davros surviving the betrayal of his creations. When Davros was later revived, his presence created a schism within the Daleks' ranks and made them less effective as conquerors. Another piece includes that the TARDIS actually is never seen in this episode, a very, very rare thing for old Doctor Who. And while there are a ton of behind-the-scenes points for this episode alone, an interesting fact is that it's believed that the Dalek being referred to as a Mark III travel machine is a reference to the Third Reich. This is supported by Davros himself being a clear allusion to Josef Mengele, who notoriously conducted gruesome experiments on prisoners in concentration camps. What's up, Lore Masters? Thanks so much for watching. Hey, don't forget to look at the poll, vote in that. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to rate and subscribe. Guys, I am going to see you on the next one.